Welcome to my garden, GinGee GoodEarth YouTube channel, Wild Trout Lily at the Etsy store. Please review all 19 of my videos. I want to start this program on the book The Vikings. The book is written by Elizabeth Janeway. I did read maybe 10 pages at a prior video, but I'll be reading the book in its entirety tonight because there's outcry in the Scandinavian countries that they're being suppressed regarding their culture and their history. And so I pitched in and I put together a program tonight, and I took pictures of all my antique floral plates for you to enjoy today. So welcome to my garden, and I will be reading a book on the Vikings. I wanted to go over some of the poetry from the book Honey for All, about the honeybee. When I see the miracles of a honeybee, I know God and nature must surely touch hands. Everything the honeybee gives to its hive is in turn given back to us for feeding and nourishing the hungry. I have been working on hunger projects since 1985, when it was documented in 1985 that 6 million people were going hungry in America. Boy, I thought we'd have that problem resolved by now, but again, we've had corrupt senior officers in our leadership that have created unimaginable false flags and sedition. I think this is happening to many countries. There's 188 countries that have a part in the pandemic crisis. And as I read today, many people have perished from the coronavirus, COVID-19. So with urgency, let's get started, and we'll talk about the honeybee. And this is mainly a children's story. So parents, when you have a moment, you can have the kids watch this when I get ready to start. Beekeepers are vital. Others will suffer if you do not attend to the care of honeybees properly. Honeybees are like untold priceless diamonds. Remember God's bounty in the year. Give this one day to thanks, to joy, to honeybees, to gratitude. Bees dream in color. Bees dream in golden honey. In the country backyard, golden pond, a young boy, a watchdog, honeybees and flowers are here together. Just after a shower, the boy thinks he'll wait till the honeybees gets through before taking the flower. A wise thing to do? For to the boys who have tried it, it is well known that 'tis better to leave stinging honeybees alone. Bees are the insects of the garden of life. I have a honeybee recipe for everyone to share. And these are let's see if we can get this paper. We have to get a darker background for the paper so you can see the recipe. And we'll put a flashlight on it. Honey balls. 1 1/2 cup of powdered milk, 1 cup of honey, 1 cup of peanut butter, 1 cup crushed cereal, coconut optional. Mix powdered milk, honey, and peanut butter together. Stir ingredients are well mixed. Roll into balls. Crush the cereal. Spread the balls with the cereal crushed on wax paper. Roll balls in the crushed cereal and chill them, and they're great, delicious snacks. And I have an assignment for the kids. Every morning, wake up and draw 1 honeybee and 1 butterfly. Every morning, you'll have a compendium of beautiful honeybees and butterflies, each different in their own way. If you'd like to write to me, you can email me at gibsongirls@mail.com, and I direct the Pittsburgh Victorian Gibson Girls, a musical dance ensemble troupe of 40 members. And write to me anytime, and you can send me pictures, copy and paste of your honeybees and your butterflies. So we're going to get started with the program. I'm going to try to zoom in on the picture show. And again, my programs are educational entertainment. They help educate, amuse, enrich, and I try to focus on nice matters. I have one more poem to read. Growing up, I think, must be a very dull and scary thing. To stop hearing the sirens sing, to stop believing in enchanted princesses and kings, to stop hearing in the wind the sound of angel wings, to stop seeing monsters in every shadow, to stop hearing vampires scratching at your window, to stop thinking poor Billy was really turned into a weeping willow, to stop being afraid of things that go bump in the night, to finally get over that one ghost story which gave you such a fright, to really see the world with clear and factual sight. But I don't think I ever will. I couldn't handle it, Besides, I like my fantasies and pretendings, seeing the world through the very foggy glasses of my own mind. So, although my body gets longer and my mind stronger, you won't ever catch me cleaning my glasses. That was written by LBJ. The book is Poetry by LBJ, and that's a book that you can order on Etsy.com. The store name is Wild Trout Lily, and my nickname is Ginger Lily, and I encourage you to go through all the different videos from the beginning, and they have Roman numerals on them, 1 through 10. And I'm also reading a historical novel written in 1830. It's a history book. The title is called The Universal History of the United States of America. And if I lose my voice on occasion, no worries, because I cannot edit, and I apologize for any sound difficulties. And I just want you to enjoy the program, and let's get started. The Vikings. And here's a picture of a Viking A Viking ship. Let me focus it in. So let's see if we can focus that in. There it is. Steady it. That could be another assignment for the kids. You know, go ahead and try to paint or draw a Viking ship. The Vikings, Elizabeth Janeway. Chapter 1, Outlawed. In the long light afternoon of a northern summer's day, nearly 1,000 years ago, two small boys sat on the stone wall which ran around the barnyard of an Iceland farm. Behind them rose a line of rugged hills, at the foot of which nestled the farm buildings, a collection of low sod-covered houses, stables, and barns. Below them, across the road, which was nothing but a rutted track for the farm wagons, the land dropped sharply to the still blue sea. Sometimes the boys amused themselves by trying to throw pebbles down past the shore and into the waves which broke with a roar on the rocky beach. But today they were busy with another task. Light head and dark head were bent together over a piece of driftwood that lay between them. "This will be a fine sword," said Leaf. "When we get done, I will give it a name. I'll call it Turfing, after a great sword that the god Odin gave to his son." "That's a good name, isn't it, Brendan?" "A very good name," said Brendan, who was smoothing the blade of the sword with a piece of sandstone. "And when my father comes home, I'll ask him to carve the name on it in runes," said Leaf, who still hadn't learned to make his runes, as the letters of the Icelandic alphabet were called. "Won't that be fine?" "Fine! Then we'll make you a sword, and we can fight like real duels, with rules and everything. What will you call your sword, Brandon?" Brandon raised his head and looked south across the bay. The wind lifted his short dark hair, and he said, "I'm a slave, Leaf. A thrall. How can I have a sword? Swords are only for free men." "Don't talk like that." Leaf's eyes flashed with anger, and he grasped more tightly with the little knife with which he had been whittling the sword's hilt. "You are not a thrall. At least you will not be when I am grown and master of Trondheim. You and I are true foster brothers, and we will be great champions together. We will go to Norway and see the king, and then we will go to Ireland and win back your mother's lands. You're no thrall, for you told me yourself that you were free-born in Ireland before your family was captured in a Viking raid." "Oh, in Ireland," said Brandon, and laughed and shrugged. "In Ireland, so my mother says. My grandfather was a king himself, though not of a very large kingdom, I think. And you will be king again," said Leaf. "Positively. You wait." "I'll wait," said Brandon. "But in the meantime, my mother is thrall to your father, and I shall not have a sword." "You will, if my father says you may," said Leaf. "Won't you?" Brandon smiled. "If Eric the Red says a thing is to be so, I think there are very few men to oppose him. Yes, Leaf, if Eric says I'm to have a sword, You may be sure I'll use it well." "Then that's settled," said Leaf, and fell to carving again. Behind them in the barnyard, a heavy-set brown dog jumped to his feet, sniffed the air, and ran across to the boys. Leaf jumped and stared down the road. Almost at once the boys heard a horse neigh, and saw in the distance a little troop of men riding toward the farm, a cloud of dust blowing behind them. "It's Father!" Leaf cried, and turning toward the farmhouse he called, "Mother! Mother! Father's home!" The door of the farmhouse opened, and a tall woman in a long gray dress hurried out and stood shading her eyes. As she looked down the road, other people joined her, some of them dressed in white, which was the mark of slaves. Leaf, unable to wait, ran out with the dog, Hilga at his heels, and panted down the road to the oncoming troop of men. Sun glinted on spear points and sword hilts and steel helmets chased with silver. Even a short journey, men did not ride without weapons in a land where safety depended on a strong arm and a swift stroke. And today, America's safety depends on a strong arm and to be also armed if you have reason and call for concern. Quickly, Leaf reached the horseman, and as he did so, the foremost rode out well ahead of the others and stretched a big hand down to the boy. "Holla, my son," said Eric, laughing. "Quiet now, Wolf," he admonished his horse. Leaf put his foot on the toe of his father's spurred boot. In a moment he was swung up into the saddle before Eric, with the man's arm around him. "Well now," said Eric, "this is a good greeting. Are you glad to see me?" "Very glad," answered Leaf, as his father should have known the answer to such a question. "Then say hello properly to your friends who rode with me." Leaf grinned at the horsemen around him and said, "I'll give you a greeting. Harold and Hakon and Thurston and Bonjourny and oh, Barjourney, did you bring me the new little dagger you promised?" "That I did," said Bjarni, "and 2 new tales to tell you beside of the Vikings from Johnsburg and their adventures." "And you," said Eric, "have you had adventures this long week that I have been away? Have you behaved as the eldest son should? How is the baby?" "Yes, oh yes," Leaf replied. "The baby's fine, and Brendan and I are making a sword. It's to be called Truffing, which is done, and you'll carve the name on it, won't you, Father?" "And oh, Father." "What?" said Eric. He reined his horses up at the gateway. "Greetings to this house," he called loudly to housefolk who stood